Hello and happy World Card Making Day. So thanks so much for coming to join us. Welcome. We're glad that you're here and hopefully enjoying some of the fun little posts that we've been doing over the last couple of days. As well as I hope that you enjoy all the card making videos today. So I'm excited to have you guys here. And like I said, it's going to be hopefully a fun day. Hopefully you enjoy the card making projects. And like I said, we're just glad to have you here. And I can see that I'm already crazily crooked on the screen. And again, I see people are starting to hop in, so I'm glad you're finding me okay. And like I said, welcome to World Card Making Day, the Ink and Crew version of it. So we're just going to be going live and posting projects all day long for you. So have a good time, watch the videos, feel free to ask questions. A couple things to know about the videos and our event. We actually will be sharing our blog posts once they go live in the coming days. It may take a day or two for some of us to get our posts to go live, but we will be posting all of the card projects out on our blogs and all the details about them. So no need to worry about writing down card stock cuts and measurements and all that, unless you like really want to make it today, then you can. But but otherwise, we'll be sharing all the details and posting a link in the description of the video back when the blog post goes live. So as far as this page goes and the videos go, we will be out here for as long as Facebook will let the page be live. So forever, hopefully. And so you can come back and reference this anytime. I will probably archive the group, which means that we won't be having any new members join after, I don't know, about 2 weeks or so into it. We'll archive the group. So, but you guys, anybody who's currently a member will be able to come back in and watch the videos over and over again, because I know you'll be fascinated and, just love to watch us all. So, all right. So I think that's it as far as the group goes. Let's see. I think that's about all. Other than just we're going to have kind of a wide variety of presenters today. Some of us have been doing this a little longer and may not be quite as nervous. And some of us are a little newer to card making and a little bit newer to the video thing. So just, give us a little patience, and we're just doing this for fun. And like I said, I've been doing this for a little while. I guess Stampin' I've been a demonstrator for about 10 years and been doing videos for, I don't know, 5 or so. And I still mess stuff up quite routinely. So no worries there. So we're here to just have fun. And wowee, somebody's here at 6 a.m. from California. So glad that you're here and awake enough to watch. I'd still be in bed and just watching the replay. So again, for anybody who misses out on the lives, the replays will be here for just as long as Facebook will let them be here. So, all right. A little bit about my card. So this is the card that I'm going to be showing you today. And I use the Cottage Wreaths stamp set bundle. So it's a pretty simple card actually. And I'll show you how I did everything and talk you through, hopefully give you a few little tips here and there as I'm going along. And this is the stamp set that I'm going to be using. So it's Cottage Wreaths, and I love this one. I love the images in it. Love that it goes kind of from everything from fall all the way through Christmas, and you really could use it almost any time of the year because it's got just a general hello stamp in it, and some people just make life better. So like I said, I think it's a fun little stamp set, and I think you can use it any time of the year. And if you've watched me before, you do know that I do love dies, and I'm a huge, anytime there are dies, I pretty much buy them. So this is the die set that comes with it in the bundle. So we've got a couple of just cut out kind of outlines of wreaths, I guess is what you could say. Again, these are designed for layering if you want to, or not if you don't want to. So either way. And then there are dies, the open dies that cut out the stamped images here. And then there are a few accessories like the little bow, which is the one that I used on my card today. And then there are some leaves and some little branches and leaves. So it's a great bundle. If you don't have it yet, get it ordered today and you can get a pack of free iridescent pearl basic gems if you order it. I think you have to order by the end of the day today. I heard that maybe it was tomorrow, but just order it by the end of the day today. And then you can be sure to add the pearls to your order, and then you'll get them for free. So yay. All right, so that is the stamp set bundle. One other thing that I did use on this, these are my favorite dies ever. They're the stitched rectangle dies, and I did use the second from the largest one here to cut out the little background panel underneath here. And again, I'll show you how I did all that as soon as we get rolling here on the card. All right, to get started, I use the blending brush and one of the Artistic Mix decorative masks. These come in a pack of 5, and there are different kind of shapes and backgrounds on it. So on these masks, there's a duller side and a shinier side. I don't know that it necessarily matters which side you use. I tend to try to put the shinier side up because I feel like it's a little bit slicker, if that makes sense, and it makes the ink blending a little bit easier. The background panel that I'm going to be starting with is obviously much larger than the one that I have on my card front. That's one little tip that I have when you're using these masks. If you want to have the entire background ink blended or inked, I guess I should say, you'll want to start with a larger panel and then trim it down. The reason that I say to do that is because when I put these down, I usually tend to hopefully get it lined up straight on the grid paper and then put my mask down over the top of it. And hopefully line that up with the grid paper as well. And then I take, maybe, I take Post-it note tape, or you can use the masking paper from Stampin' Up, but Post-it note tape is quick and easy because it's already in a roll and it just goes down really nicely on your grid paper. And kind of use it to stick basically the edges of the mask down as well as the edges of the paper. So that's my one little tip when you're going to be doing this, is just use masking tape or use the masking paper, I should say. This tape is actually called Post-it note tape. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it in office supply stores, any place like that that sells kind of office supplies. You can find it, and I use it all the time in crafting. All right, got one of the blending brushes, and as you can see, it's all stained up, and they get that way. And I've got Sahara sand ink. As far as the blending brushes go, I know that some people want to have one for every color. I don't tend to think that you need one for every color. I have about, I don't know, I think 12 of them or so, you know, just because. But as long as you have enough for the colors that you're going to be using for the day, then that's, you know, I think 4, 5, 6 of them is probably plenty of blending brushes because you can rinse them out and let them dry in between uses. So that is what I tend to do. All right. I'm using, again, Sahara sand ink, and I start over here on my grid paper first so that I don't hopefully end up with any kind of globs of ink anywhere. I do know that the lighter colors, it's a little easier to blend in the ink if you end up with a little oopsie where you get it a little darker than maybe you want in a certain spot. The darker colors, it's a little harder. So generally, again, that's another one of the little tips when you're using blending brushes is I try to brush it on scrap paper first and then go to my project so that I don't end up having a yuck, a glob or whatever. Blending brush for each color family, reds, orange, yellows, and greens. Yep, and that works too. Or like I said, you can just rinse them out in between times. And as long as you've rinsed it out well and just use plain water, rinse it out in your sink, and let it dry. That's the other big thing, is making sure that it's dry. And then you can just reuse it with whatever color. Because like I said, you can tell this one I've obviously used with blues and purples before, and none of those inks are coming through. So it just depends on what you like and whether you want to have to rinse them out or not. So let me peel up the edge here, because I think we're getting to the point where I've got a good amount of ink on it. So again, that's the one thing that's nice about the Post-it note tape is you can kind of peel up and restick. So if you start peeling, you're like, oh, I missed a spot, whatever, then you can restick it. I think we got a pretty good background there, so I'm going to set that aside. And again, with the masks, just make sure you rinse them off or wipe them off when you're done so you don't end up accidentally mixing up colors if you decide to do another one. I use Sahara sand ink. They're not dishwasher. Well, I'll let you try that, Mary. You can let us know when you go live later whether they're dishwasher safe or not. Let me know what it looks like when you pull it out. So, all right. Cleaning takes away from crafting. I know. But there are very few things that I clean, but that's one of them. So, all right. Like I said, I cut the panel oversized to begin with, and then I'm going to grab the second from the largest of the stitched rectangle dies, and I'm just going to put it generally right in the middle of this. It doesn't matter if you end up with something that doesn't look right over here. You can always slide it down or around or wherever it is that you want it to go. But I'm just going to go kind of right in the middle, and I'm going to cut this with the stitched rectangle dies. And my die cutter is off screen because it wiggles my table incredibly, because apparently I like really crank on it when I go. And so I'm trying not to make you seasick. So I'll be off screen for just 1 second. So. New Jersey today. It looks like we're getting the remnants of the crazy big hurricane. Hopefully everybody down south has made it through the worst of it okay. Goodness, that was a big storm. So, all right. So we got that die cut. Then I layered it on a piece of basic white cardstock. This piece is cut to about 3.5 by 4 7/8. And hopefully if I've cut everything correctly, which it looks like I did, they should layer together fairly nicely. And I've been asked before why it is that I layer up the card fronts like I do. And it's mostly just my personal preference. I think it gives it a nice little finished edge when I do that. If you don't like that look, you certainly don't have to layer it up. You can just go straight to your card front with it. But I don't know. I guess I tend to like a lot of layers. So, all right, using Stampin' Seal to adhere the two layers together. And then I'm going to grab a thick basic white card base. My original card base is a top fold because that's my preferred card. I do know that not everybody loves the top fold, so I wanted to show you that you can definitely use this on a regular book fold card as well. So, oh, you're in Eastern, you lost power last night? Oh, goodness, we did not, thank goodness. No power lost here. It's just been raining kind of a lot this morning. So, all right, so I'm going to grab some Stampin' Dimensionals. And again, another little tip. I know that Stampin' Dimensionals, and again, people either love this or they hate this. And if you hate it, you'll just have to look away. So the Stampin' Dimensionals, actually, I like them actually cut down the middle. So I cut them in half, and it gives me kind of longer, narrower Stampin' Dimensionals. I like the size of these. Again, this is my personal preference, so if you hate them and hate that I cut them in half, just look away and pretend like they're whole Stampin' Dimensionals, and you can use your whole ones for your own projects. But I don't know, these I tend to like because they stick just as well as a whole dimensional, and they fit, I think, better on a lot of like the back of sentiments and things. You can use the minis, but they're, I don't know, they're little, and I have big fat man hands, and I don't know, little stuff sometimes doesn't always agree with me. So it's just, again, it's my personal preference. So, all right, sticking that to the card front. Then I've got a little piece of, this is Sahara Sand from Designer Series paper, I should say, from the Neutrals 6x6 Designer Series paper pack. And originally this was cut to about 1.5 inches by about 4 5/8-ish inches. And then I just took my trimmer and trimmed it off at an angle. So there was no special tool or anything involved. I just stuck it in the trimmer and went shoop and chopped it off kind of at an angle that I thought looked good. There's no special angle that I did on it. I'm going to use a little Stampin' Seal. A couple other tricks with Stampin' Seal. Again, I know that some people really wrestle with it. I absolutely love this adhesive. The one thing that I have learned about it, though, is the old snail, you used to be able to kind of go like this and across things. The Stampin' Seal, you almost have to stand it up a little bit. So I put my hand underneath it, if that makes sense, and I run it like this rather than running it like this. So I feel like this works better, and I tend to have good luck using it. Again, am I perfect at it? Nope. Sometimes I drive all sorts of crazy and, you know, pull it off the edge of the cardstock and whatever, but it's a super strong adhesive, and that's really why I like it. So, all right. So there we are. Got that adhered to with Stampin' Seal on the front porch in Central Georgia. Hopefully you have a little bit of, you know, not water everywhere, and hopefully you've got power. That's the biggest thing. Goodness. I know we have a couple team members down in Florida. I know one of them is out of power, no water. Ugh, yuck, yuck, yuck. Sounds like a mess. So, all right. Hopefully the little tip with Stampin' Seal will help you. Like I said, I've had really good luck with it, and I love that adhesive. So, and liquid glue, I know some of you love, and Mary will probably show you later today, and a few other people on the team will probably be like, liquid glue, but I end up with it stuck to me, my project stuck to me, it's stuck to my paper, and I'm just a mess. So, so I tend to stick with the roller adhesives unless I have no other choice. So, pine tree on her house. Oh my gosh. Eek. That's, bad. So, all right, pumpkin pie is the next color, and I am going to ink up. This is the wreath image that's got the kind of the leafy looking wreath. So we're going to ink that up in pumpkin pie ink. Try to make sure I get it all covered. And then I'm going to take Cajun Craze and a sponge dauber. And we're just going to add a little bit of Cajun Craze ink. And again, the same thing that I do with my blending brushes is I tap it on the ink pad and kind of do a little bit of a swirl over here so I don't end up with a really dark glob. And then just going to come back in, add a little more Cajun Craze ink sort of here and there. All over. Maybe all over, I don't know. It's really all over, but just adding a few little spots of Cajun Craze ink just to give it a little different, I don't know, a little depth maybe, I guess would be the word that I'm looking for on it. So, I'm glad you like the layout. Like I said, it's a fun little card. So, all right. Another thing I guess I forgot to show you, there's a little blue dot here that you'll see I put on the back of my stamp with a Sharpie marker, and that's basically to help me to get things lined up. So you'll notice that Stampin' Up! Inside the case here, hopefully you can see it, has a little arrow right here. So if you put a little dot about where that arrow is on the back side of your stamp, that will help you to get it lined up when you die cut it. So I'll show you that in a second. So the only thing you have to do is pay attention here, is just make sure that wherever you put the little blue dot, that you remember sort of where you put it at when you're stamping with it. I'm going to try to remember that I put it down towards the bottom. All right, so we're going to give that a little stamp here. And there we go. I probably got a little more Cajun Craze on this one than I did on my original. You know what? Okay, let's, I forgot one of the steps in the process. So let's just disregard what I just showed you. And see, like I said, even the sort of semi-trained, what I would call maybe professionals, mess things up. So, okay, so let's just skip the last step from the point where I told you that you put it in pumpkin pie. So pumpkin pie ink, yes, we did that first. The step that Amy forgot as she was doing this is to stamp it here on the scrap paper first to lighten the background color. I'm like, why is that so dark? Yeah, because I forgot the stamp off tip there. Golly. See, well, I'm glad that I'm starting off by messing things up. So, you know, then everybody else can just relax for the day because I've already screwed everything up. So, all right. So there we go. Now we're going to add a little Cajun Craze. I knew it didn't look right as I was doing it. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Oh, yeah. Stamping off would be the big key. So, hi. All right. Let's see. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe a little in there. All right. Phew. I'm glad I caught it before I actually got it all die cut and then went, wait a minute, that's not right. All right, so again, I'm going to try to pay attention and not screw this up. That looks much better to me and much more like my original card. When I was looking at it, I'm like, this is not right, Amy. All right, now hopefully we'll get a little variation in color. That's more what I was going for when I was trying to do this. So, okay. And again, on my, I'm going to stamp the kind of branchy looking die over the top of it. Branchy, twiggy, whatever you want to call it, looking die. And again, I've got the little blue dot down here, and that's towards the bottom. So in theory, these should line up if I generally put this towards the bottom. And again, I'm going to use Sahara Sand ink. And I'm glad you all like this about the live videos that people mess up. And yes, and then we just show you how we fix it. That's my theory on it, is I'll just show you. Yeah, I screw things up pretty regularly, and this is how I fix it. So, all right. Yes, that's it, Deborah, is that I just was showing you what not to do. And I do that a lot. So, okay. So, as I was saying, the little arrow on your stamps, I put mine down this way. As you'll notice on the dies, there's a little tab here, and there's one on this one that's got a little arrow on it as well. Now, if you take that arrow and line it up generally where you placed your little blue dot on when you stamped it, it should line up pretty easily. Now, if you forget to do that or you mess it up, you can certainly spin it around and around until you get it to the right spot. But that does make it easier anytime you're doing like two-step stamping or stamping where it's a fairly specific shape like this with the die cut and it's got the little tab on it. Just mark a little note there. So, all right. So let's get this die cut. So I'll be off screen. You like the mistakes better than the original plan? I don't think that I love this one better. But if you do, then you can certainly do it that way. So, all right, let me get this run through the die cutting machine, hopefully. I was yakking and moved things around, and now I got to reset it. So, All right, hopefully we'll get it here. Okay, ooh. There we go. I got a couple little Stampin' dimensionals that we're going to be sticking on the back of this. So you sit there and spin it. Yeah, that's a good little tip to know about lining it up. So definitely it does make it easier. You're going to order this one, Florence. Good. It's such a pretty set. And if you order it, like I said today, be sure to add your free pack of iridescent pearls to the order, and then you'll get them. So yay. So it's an awesome, awesome bundle. All right, got my little half Stampin' dimensionals that I've stuck around the back of this. And I don't know that there's any special way that it needs to go on here, but we're generally going to center it. And then I did some of the die cutting ahead of time just because I know that it's a little boring to watch me off screen doing nothing. So this I actually cut from Balmy Blue. It's the subtle, or the subtle 6x6 Designer Series paper pack. And there's a little plaid and it's got polka dots on the other side. So I just used the little die, the bow die, to die cut those. And then I cut from Sahara Sand cardstock 4 of these. There are actually 4 of these somewhere on this sheet. Then 1, 2, 3. I know there's a fourth one somewhere. There, no, there. Yikes, I knew there were 4 of them. So I ran that through the die cutting machine once and cut some of these from Sahara Sand. All right, if I can get my fingers to work today. There we go. And then I'm gonna grab glue dots, which again, I know that some people love liquid glue, and if you do, you can certainly use liquid glue. But I find glue dots work better for me because, like I said, I just tend to make a mess when I use liquid glue. So I'm going to stick down the little glue dot here, and I'm going to try to make it work so that I can get both of these little leafy things stuck to the one glue dot. And just want them to be at a little bit of a different angle. So there we go. And then I'm going to take the other side, do the same thing, put a little glue dot over here. And take my other 2 little leafy images and stick them up so that hopefully they'll both stick to the same glue dot. And then I'm going to take my bow and basically hide the glue dots. So that's how I tend to hide things, and that's why I use the glue dots, because I can usually hide them underneath whatever pretty layering that I'm putting on it. So this glue dot, I actually took it and kind of rolled it up a little bit and stuck it to the back of the bow in the center. And then I'm just going to make sure that my glue dots are covered up here with the bow, and that's all there is to it. So pretty easy. Next up is the sentiment. Yeah, actually, yes, it's like I said, it's a great set. A great set, and I'm glad you're liking the little extra tip. Let me make sure I have this cut to the right size. That's pretty small. Let me grab my other paper and see if I can... I thought I was being all organized. This one's better. That gives me a little more wiggle room, because I've messed up enough things already today. So, all right, so I have Night of Navy ink and the sentiment from the Cottage Wreaths stamp set. I'm just gonna take that, ink it up, stamp it here on my basic white cardstock. There we go. Close up the ink pad before I stick my fingers or the card in it, which I've been known to do both. And then I'm gonna grab, this is the smallest of the, I call these the wider rectangles. These are the narrow rectangles in my world, whatever you want to call them. But it is the smallest of the wider rectangles that I'm going to use to cut out the sentiment. So again, I'll be off screen for 1 second while I cut that out. And hopefully it'll only take a second, I should say. There we go. I just sent the die flying across the floor. Okay. Then I'm going to add, again, just some little Stampin' dimensionals. See, this is my kind of bow. There's no tying involved. That's why I love it. It's just a little die cutting, and die cutting I can do, definitely. So, all right. Take this, and again, just kind of try to center it and make it straight. There we go. Hopefully got both. If not, we'll just look at it a little. I'll turn it like that, and then it'll be, then you won't know whether it's straight or not. All right, next up, gonna add a couple of the Champagne Rhinestone Basic Jewels, and I'm just gonna stick one of the kind of medium-sized ones, and I'm gonna tuck it under here. Actually, no, I think I'm gonna put the medium-sized one out here, And then a couple of the smaller ones here. Or maybe that was a large one. I don't know. Whatever. It's all good. As long as you get 3 of them on there, put them on however you want. All right. So that's really it for the card front. On the inside of the card, I kept it also super simple. This is basic white cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And this is just a little piece of the trimmed off the same designer series paper that I'd used on the front. This is about 5/8 of an inch. And it's probably a little, yeah, it's a little over the 4 inches wide. And I tend to do that because as I'm sticking it down here, again, using Stampin' Seal, it gives me a little bit of a lever, if that makes sense, to hopefully get it stuck on here straight. If I oversize it just a little bit, that usually helps me, maybe, to get it stuck down straight, as long as I can see what I'm doing. There we go. And then I just take my snips and trim it off. And this is about the only kind of fussy cutting that I do. I know some of you are awesome fussy cutters. I am not. Look at that, I even got this stuck to the side. So between liquid glue and fussy cutting, those are both things that I don't love. So I use Stampin' Seal and dies, and I'm good to go. So, all right, on the inside of the card, just sticking it down with a little Stampin' Seal. And then I'm gonna fold it and do a quick crease with the bone folder. And that's it for my card. So again, one I made ahead, one we made here today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. We're going to have an awesome rest of the day. I know you're going to have a good time with all the other presenters. Oh, and I did have one other thing. I did make another one with this same set. So if this wasn't enough to convince you to say, yes, you need to get it, hopefully this one will. So this is another one of the cards that I'll be posting on my blog on Monday. So this one I'll post tomorrow, and I'll share a link to the project. So I'll be back tomorrow, I guess it'll be, and I will share the link in the description of the video so you can come back and check out the blog post, find all the details for the cardstock cuts and all that. And then Monday I'll be posting this one on my blog as well, made with the same stamp set. So if you don't have the Cottage Wreaths, just buy them because you'll love them, and because I said so. So there. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so that's all that I have for you today. I appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being here. Thanks for spending World Card Making Day with us. Terry Lynn is up next at 10 o'clock, so you got a little break to stretch your legs, go grab a drink, and be ready to go. So thanks again for joining. We will see you all very soon.